All right, the Denver Broncos, one of the many teams to draft a quarterback. Their quarterback they drafted was the sixth to go out of the top 12 picks. You see the chart next to me. The way this works is you have position that player was drafted, then when they were supposed to be drafted according to the consensus big board, so where they were ranked among prospects, then the player name and the position. Bo Nix was the 12th player to go. He was projected to go 35th, and there was a lot of debate. And to be honest, I totally understand kind of both sides of the coin. He's someone who I think I started off a bit higher on. My podcast co-host is literally his number one hater. I haven't seen anyone who is lower on Bo Nix than Kyle is. So that probably, I did kind of after that podcast lower my opinion on him, but it's possible. It's because he's just very low on Nix. But I think part of why is I think there are some very valid criticisms for Nix. He is someone who just played college for so long. It's the Kenny Pickett thing, right? You play for a while, you start to master the offense and be able to run it pretty smoothly. But part of it is just because you've been doing it for longer, whereas other guys who were 21 and didn't get the full experience and didn't get to be in one system for as long. And Bo Nix, different than Kenny Pickett in the sense of he had to do different systems and stuff like that. But still, at a certain point, you do different, when you're doing different, when you're just in college for a while, you get better and you get smarter at this. But can he, will it translate to the next level? Whereas some other guys might have more room to grow. Is he more of a finished product already? Is, I guess, the best way to phrase that. It's a concern. It is, but at the same time, I don't know, for Sean Payton, if you could just get a young quarterback who could just do his job, put the ball in the right place pretty frequently, there's real value in that. So, I don't know. I'm not going to crush the pick. When you need a quarterback, draft a quarterback. They didn't have to trade up to do it. It's not like they went up, traded multiple first-round picks for Bo Nix or anything like that. It's pick 12. I defended the Mac Jones pick for the same reason. You don't know if it's going to work out, but if it doesn't work out, cool. Then let's get another quarterback next year. I think it's a smart move. Then they got Jonah Elias. I'll go with Ellis, even if that might be wrong. Edge rusher out of Utah, who is someone who, advanced stats, good. Not elite, but good. He is someone who definitely can be a really good player. He just needs to be stronger. Only 6'2", 246. So definitely someone a bit bulkier, but can still be pushed around a little bit. Doesn't always win in run defense kind of stuff. So, he was projected to go 81st. Draft got him at 76. That's totally fine for him. I think this is he's not a perfect prospect, but that's why he fell to 76. For a guy you're getting at 76, there's certainly reason to believe he could be better than maybe what other guys would be. We then have Troy Franklin, who is a guy I really like as well. I'm surprised he fell so far. So he was projected to go 39th. I was lower on him than some other people. Some people thought he should have been even a first rounder I saw on some mock drafts. I wasn't quite there because, the way I view Troy Franklin is very similar to how I viewed Christian Watson. This really good athlete, but most of what he does, it just runs by people on the outside. How is that going to work at the NFL level? I just don't know. So that's why I was kind of, a little bit more cautious with a guy like Franklin than I would have been. But at pick 102, listen, there's reason to be concerned about him, but at a certain point, he's worth the risk at pick 102 for a guy who, we saw it with DK Metcalf, right? Another guy who's this great athlete, but it's man, all he does is run go routes. Can it work at the NFL level? Well, then he, someone said, hey, can you run a go route and then just turn? And he's like, oh yeah, I can do that really well. And then he is now an awesome player, right? So sometimes it's just simply these are things that it's projections, but if it hits, you're getting a steal at 102. I love this pick for Denver, who really could use some receivers. He's not the only receiver they drafted, but I do think he is, the best receiver they drafted, and I think he's someone who might be the best, could end up being the best player selected in the hundreds in this draft class. Then we have Chris Abrams-Drain, the cornerback right here, who is a smaller corner, 5'11", 180, and he's listed at 179, which, if you're listed at 179, you got to do what you can to get one extra pound, get yourself to 180, right? Not the biggest guy, also not the best athlete, mostly gets by on his, high IQ, definitely sort of a smart player, which, for a depth piece, can make some sense to get that guy in the building. Pick 145 was projected to go 93rd. So anytime you can get on the right side of that, usually is a good thing. Then I drafted a running back, Audric Estime, who was a really interesting running back. He is someone I evaluated, and he is someone who is a bowling ball. Really, he'll run you over. He's a slow back. He's not a quick guy, and he's very much a situational running back. You're not drafting him to be out there, on a lot of downs, but in the right circumstance, sure, pick 147. Why not? I'm not mad at that necessarily. You then have Devon Vele, the wide receiver out of Utah, who good athlete and 6'4". So you see, hey, good athlete, 6'4", sign me up. Why was he projected to go undrafted? Well, didn't get a lot of separation, and it doesn't have a ton of explosiveness off the line. I think that's what's concerning as well. So that's why he was projected for the 326th highest rated player. But again, that feels low for me. I feel like people are kind of maybe sleeping on. I get it. I understand that, at the end of the day, you want someone who's good at football, and that's kind of not what he hasn't shown a ton of ability to do all that. But I don't know, he's a good athlete, can do some things, that does have really good catch radius and stuff like that. For pick 235, sometimes you see a guy who's picked 235 and you're like, okay, special teamer, and maybe that's what he is, but I don't think they're drafting him just to be a special teamer. I think they're hoping he can be someone more than that. Then we have 256. I'm trying to remember, was this Mr. Irrelevant, or was this no, I believe this was the second to last pick, if I remember correctly, which is the real Mr. Irrelevant, because everyone remembers Mr. Irrelevant. Nick Gargiulo. Oh man, that's some of these names are tough for me. Nick G. We could make this easier for poor YouTubers who have to pronounce every single person's name that gets drafted. But Nick G here, who was I think he would have been drafted earlier had he come out a year earlier, perhaps. He's now 23. Had some really strong seasons for South Carolina. He had strong seasons before going to South Carolina. He had strong seasons at Yale. He kind of goes to South Carolina, kind of, I think, hoping to hey, look at me, I can do this against tougher competition. The issue, he didn't do it against tougher competition. So to me, that's real concerning. And to me, I don't even know if I would draft him. Maybe I would, if he's, an undrafted free agent, okay, sure, let's talk to him there. But again, there's only a couple picks left before undrafted free agents anyway, so he's basically an undrafted free agent, just one that, you get control over for the next 4 years this way. But, again, there was some stuff. Maybe there's some technique stuff. Maybe it's just first year it kind of got punched in the mouth, could get better. But this is the concern about going after, players in general who are against weaker competition is, sometimes just to jump up to playing at South Carolina is too much, let alone to jump up to the NFL, which is going to be an even higher jump. We'll see if he can make the transition. But yeah, those are the 7 picks that the Broncos had. Interesting draft across the board. What do you think of all of this? Let me know in the comments below. What were your thoughts on the Broncos draft? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.